that is something that I've been thinking about as of recently. I, I I happen to own a few properties, and I looked at some of the things, and I think about my children. This is where I think about my children the most, right? They're saying the initial starter home, is around more than $300,000 for a starter home. That's like needs work. I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like $300,000. I mean, that's more than I paid for the house I'm in now. And this has been our more forever house. And
Right.
I love this house, so I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, $300,000 for your starter home. That's crazy. What can we do to make it more affordable? One of the major things I would say is lower property tax a little bit, or make it to the point there's so many complex things. I don't know if there's just one thing I can do. I can say that, we'll, make it so that you can get loans, but then there's like problems with loans, you can't make a loan too easy to get. You
Right.
can't, I mean, I'd say the bigger thing is, increase inventory. I think
Yeah.
that's going to drive down price, get the people that are buying homes that are doing it as a career, and they own like 30, 40 homes, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Let's have them, have it so that I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I'm just saying, like, don't make it 30 homes, make it maybe less than 10. And then if you're over that threshold, maybe you get taxed at a different rate,
Right.
or your property tax comes at a different price or something like that, because you're doing it as that's a business at that
Right.
point, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And then again, it's like, how do you deal with all that, right? So
Yep.
um, that's more regulation then at some point. So it's a very difficult thing to kind of answer. I would say the most short of it is like create more inventory.
Yeah.
Right now, I think Kenosha in the Midwest, they're number one for having the least amount of inventory in the Midwest.
Wow.
Where Kenosha is like the top city, and
Right.
I think Racine falls at number four. Which
Wow.
even Racine, for that to say that Racine's breaking into this top five for in the Midwest.
Right.
It's like
Right.
that's crazy to hear that too, right?
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that's because and we are a border town.
Sure.
We have this border town that we're surrounded by different states that have higher
Right.
taxes and
Right. Right.
more regulation than ever before, and so a lot of them are just running into Wisconsin
Right. Right.
to look for less regulation and look
Right.
for more freedom and better land. But unfortunately, they're just pushing up the prices of everything, taking it to the point where we don't have an inventory for anything.
Right.
So it's still complex, but the very short question, the answer to that would be, how do we make things more affordable? Um, make single family homes where we have more inventory. And I cringe at the fact, even like, I don't want to go back to like the 50s and 60s where we just have these tract houses that are just cheaply built where they're just like stamped out,
Right.
either.
Right. Right.
Um, I want a house that people can be proud of, because that's the other piece of the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we make a bunch of single family houses right next to each other, and they're not very well built. They're just kind of, you know, if you remember back in the days, the Sears Roebuck houses,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you could order from Sears
Yeah.
and have it
Yeah.
delivered,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like, something with, that's gonna stand for, that's a decent amount of space that's gonna stand the test of time and be able to, um, be something that they can be proud of.
Yeah.
People want to be proud of something.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.